All right. Hi, everybody. So today I am going to explain to you what is PBL. PBL stands for project-based learning. So basically, you would like to try to see if you actually understood the unit. So far we've been doing social studies in Revolutionary War. So we've been exploring different countries, but mainly we've been exploring what is the cause of the war. All right, remember all the inquiry questions we've been going through. So this is going to be your midterm exam, which is a project-based learning. And I will show you some samples so you kind of understand how to do yours with your team members. Okay, before I get into the lesson and explanation, you should already know your team members, and they were already posted on Google Classroom. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at inquiry question. The biggest question here is, how did the American Revolutionary War change the lives of people living in the 13 colonies, and why does it still matter today? Okay, now you can think about this as a big essential question, but if you would like to explore some other options, these are the three options you can explore with your team. One thing I would like to remind you guys is make sure your project is going towards the unit, which is a Revolutionary War. But at the same time, you may think about one ethnicity. Okay, remember we talked about how many immigrants were immigrating to America during that time. There were many ethnicities, okay, that you can choose out of. Okay, previous of my students, they chose Mexicans, they chose Chinese, okay, they chose Japanese, but obviously you guys can choose something else. Okay, so make sure that you understand how these people were also involved, okay, as a minor. Okay, but the major issue here was Revolutionary War in the USA setting. Okay, all right, any questions here? Okay, no questions. All right, move on. This is one of the project, and the team actually did this project on Virginia colony, and the time period was 1607, right? And you can kind of see how this team tried to make their own content. They had issues of climate, issues of economy, natural resources were lacking, and how people lived with cultural aspects, and obviously the geography, which is a very important. You can also throw a map, that's fine, but at the end of the project you might want to do citations. Okay, citations are very important academic learning, because once you become going to high school and even further university, you must cite what you've been doing for your research, where you got your resources and sources. Okay, and obviously AI has been going on, so we all know that the integrity policy of AI usage is very important as well. Please cite your AI usage if you've been doing searches with ChatGPT or other OpenAI, and I'll show you how to do that next time, but it's also on your Google Classroom. Okay, just to remind everyone, we do need to think about the causes and key events and impacts of the American Revolutionary War. Your job is actually understand that there were causes of certain events. Okay, but further, this PBL, I need you to examine, okay, how it shaped and developed the U.S. The ideas of freedom, the ideas of independency. So I need you to actually examine. Now, what does examine mean? Yeah, examine means you're actually thinking about your thinking, right? Like you're reevaluating what you actually learned. So we know that there was American Revolutionary War historically. We know that there were key events. but then you also have to think about how, right? The word here is how, very important. So how it shaped the development, right? The way the US is developed during that time period. So that's where you need to focus on. Now, you can list all the knowledges, things that we've been talking about in the class, in the project, but this actually aims more of what you and your team shows, what you understand, instead of what you memorized, okay? There's a huge difference. So let's look at the objectives. I need you to identify, right? And I need you to describe. Then I need you to explain, and I need you to analyze. Yes, you do have to write a paragraph form, but I do not require a long essay for this since it's a project based, okay? But you do need to write some paragraphs showing your explanation, analyzing, okay? Now, in 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives, where do you actually answer your big question, the essential question we talked about earlier? Yes, number 4, right? Analyze. Actually, you need to explain and analyze. You need to answer your big essential question in number 3 and number 4. Okay, now number 1 and number 2, you can show, you can identify, you can describe the definition or what it means during that time. With your team, that's fine. But number 3 and 4 is where the challenge comes. Look at the right side, okay? So we have ATL skills. We have self-management, research, social skills, thinking skills, communication skills. Now, I do not think we can achieve all the skills in 4 weeks, but I do think you can try to achieve at least 3 out of here, okay? Can you tell me which one do you think you can definitely achieve? Yes, number 1, right? Like self-management skills, being a good teammate, and other things like being on time, right? And do your part when other teams wanted you to do your part, right? And then yes, number 2, research skills. Definitely you're going to learn how to research. Now, number 3, social skills. Now, what does that mean? Social skills. Like team members talking to each other, communicating, maybe asking questions to each other, asking questions to the teacher, right? I'm here, I'm available. So maybe you start to have some more courage to come and ask me more questions. Or maybe if you have any questions with sources, if you have any questions with content knowledge, maybe you can ask your teammates, right? Rely on them more. So practicing your oral skills, those are very important. Talking about thinking skills and communication skills, right? So we already went through that, and I do really want you to try all the ATLs for this project, okay? Challenge yourself. All right, moving on. The student actually wrote many paragraphs, but it's all right if you put some cartoonish drawings. And actually it's more authentic, right, using AI and generating image nowadays. So please do draw with your hand as much as possible. No judgment. I also don't draw that well, but I try. So you can also try, okay? Put some effort, please. Some colorings are nice, right? Visuals are always more effective if it's more visualized. Now for writing paragraphs, you can actually type and stick it here, or you can actually write it in pencil, right? If you wanted to make it neat, and then maybe rewrite it with a pen and then erase the pencil marks. That also works, and some students would like to do that a lot. And the student actually decided to draw the map with her own handwriting, and I thought that was a very good effort that she put it into this part of the project. So here's your task. So I need you to actually pick one. You may write an essay, but let's try to get away with essay since we've been working really hard with essay. let's do something fun, okay? So like a poster or presentation, even Google Slides. But again, do come and talk to me which one you and your team decided. We're gonna decide today, and then I will see if I can make that proposal going on until next week. Then we can start our work next week, okay? As you know, assessment is very important because it connects to your grade, okay? But not only it connects to your grade, it also shows me that you understood what we are doing in class, okay? So again, there are two types of assessments. One is looking at where you're at, how can you improve, right? And the other part is looking at how much you achieved. Okay, so sometimes grades are lower doesn't really mean it's the end of the world, right? It just means you need to try harder, practice a little bit more, maybe come and ask me more questions, okay? And if you did achieve a good grade, it means you need to maintain the good grade, and you need to think about how can I keep up with this? What am I doing good? What are my strengths and weaknesses? So assessments are important in this part. So what am I assessing? Accuracy, evidence, clarity, creativity, effort. Okay, now the green part is where I would like to have you focus on more. Okay, so putting thinking into cause and effect, put more thinking into research questions, put more careful thinking in grammar and dictions like words choices, and then put more thinking on others' perspective. So if you do have some teamwork time in my own class time, do not waste the teacher's time. Don't waste your teammates' time. You need to focus, really work together, okay? Last one is time management. Make sure you submit things online, Google Classroom. Make sure you email me if you have any time delaying problems, internet problems, technological problems, okay? So make sure those things are happening. Any questions for assessments? Okay, if you don't have any questions now and you do have questions later, please email me, or I'm here after class. So let's keep moving on. This is a Virginia colony for my other students. It's a little bit lesser effort than the other one, you can kind of see, right? And this is another project that's called Scientific Discoveries. But this actually was done pretty long time ago. So these students, this group of students didn't really have the American Revolution. They had a different type of like theories, like can you go and search scientific theory during this time of the year. So actually this project was a little different than the one that you guys are going to do. But this is the very important part. The ATL skills that I try to look for your PBL, okay? Now, if you're still confused with ATL skills, IB does require that teachers have to educate students with ATL, okay? MYP, DP, even sometimes PYP, okay? All right, so here's a chart, and if you have any other questions, please ask me, okay? But otherwise, I think we've been trained pretty well with a lot of things for this project. I only need you to try research, communication, like social skills and thinking, but social skills is actually optional. Self-management is optional, okay? But I do think that it's important. But I will look at thinking, communication, research mostly, okay? We only have 4 weeks, so let's try our best to aim all the 3 ATL skills. All right, another sample, Mexican Revolution. The students actually chose the Mexican ethnicity with the Revolutionary War, and they actually put some effort by tearing off some papers like this, and then they actually wrote an essay with the project. So again, the writing part, you can write it in your hand, glue it and cut them and paste it into the book, or you can write it as an MLA format or narrative format, okay? and then you can keep going, or you can either do both. Okay, I think this team decided to do a diary, so they kind of had a point of view, of narrative point of view of a Mexican ethnicity's perspective, and then they wrote it as a diary format. Like you can see Jonah's diaries and Ricardo's diary, and Maria's diary. Okay, and then what they've been going through, what they've been looking, right? And they did write MLA citation at the end, right? Very important. Okay, and then right side is my rubric, and you will see that on your Google Classroom, but mostly the rubric contains different types of writing assessments. Okay, so we will go through that, but mostly your content knowledge and your historical knowledge. Okay, all right, if you are deciding to do posters and projects, these are some kind of ideas. My students did it in their handwritten posters. They printed out the pictures, they glued them, and they made an Instagram format. Okay, so if you're interested in this kind of a posters, you may also do that. And if you do so, I will put it on my wall in my classroom so you can see everybody's project. Okay, I like to display your work. You put a lot of effort. Yes, I would like to show to the school and you and the parents if possible. And this is my students long time ago. They try to make their own project together in my class, and I do go around and see if they have any questions. Mostly they don't have any questions, but they're having fun, right? And again, it's all about having fun, you guys. If you can't have fun in my class, what's the point of the teacher being there, right? So I need you to have fun. And if you ever have a question for quizzes like this, you can also come and talk to me because it is your midterm. You may use your quiz because we do take quizzes before midterm. Okay, so you can use your quiz. What did we talk about in the quiz? And then you can, okay, this is the part I wrote. Write that, rewrite that into the project. That's totally fine. All right, you may try to use my given time with your team members, and there will be actually one leader in the team to submit the project, the scope of the project, MLA citations, checking, and submit everything in PDF file before the deadline. And we will be working on this for 4 weeks, and let's see if you have any questions. Okay, that's a great question. So if a leader is not available, who submits the project? Yes, then I guess the next person who's responsible, and which everybody should be responsible, right? Should be submitting the project. And by the way, everybody should be submitting their own project, although they are the same one, because it is your still responsibility, okay? The leader is there to remind everyone, not to guide or get to do all the job. That's not the leader I'm looking for, okay? So make sure you help each other, remind each other when is the deadline, okay? All right, other questions? Oh, what happens if you don't finish? If you don't finish, you should be able to finish, but if you don't finish, I do take off 10% of your grade. Okay, so let's not try to minus the grade that you deserve just because you're late. Okay, be responsible, self-management skill, and please submit it on time. Okay, all right. Then I'm gonna start give you my time so you can actually start your project. Okay, if you have any other questions, let me know. All right, thank you guys.